On tap, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale.
Better beer authority, better beer.
Hi, I'm James Knott, and this is your Better Beer Authority. Today, we are talking about Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale from Alltech's Lexington Brewing Company in Lexington, Kentucky. This beer is Kentucky Ale aged for 4 to 8 weeks in spent bourbon barrels. You can learn more about Kentucky Ale in our last episode. By law, bourbon must be aged in a new charred oak barrel. Once the barrel is spent, it can no longer be used for aging bourbon. Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale is aged in these barrels until a taster at the brewery decides that it is ready. Maker's Mark, Old Forrester, and Woodford Reserve are just a few of the whiskeys that once resided in these barrels. This beer is 8.2% ABV. The company says the aging imparts flavors of vanilla and oak and recommends sipping it out of a snifter as an aperitif or as an after-dinner drink. Mark, what are the dominant flavors to you in this beer?
It was like you said in the description. Initially, I really do pick up a lot of vanilla. It has a really floral nose to it. Like right when you take that first sniff, definitely pick up a lot of vanilla. You can definitely pick up a lot of pieces of that bourbon barrel ale that they age it in. So, but most dominantly, I would say I'm picking up a lot of floral notes and a lot of vanilla.
Joby, we just reviewed Kentucky Ale. If you didn't know any better, would you assume that this is the same beer?
Absolutely not. It's amazing the aroma difference between the Kentucky Ale and the Kentucky Bourbon Ale that this has. You definitely smell the bourbon smell to it, the bourbon aroma. If you sat down with both of them without knowing it, you might have no idea that the Kentucky Ale is actually the bourbon ale, but aged in a bourbon barrel.
Yeah, the difference is striking. Scott, is the bourbon, is it too overwhelming for you?
No, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by this beer. This is the first time I've actually had this exact one. And honestly, I don't like bourbon at all, but it's not the smell of bourbon I don't like, it's the flavor, and I guess the happenstance that occurs after you drink 4 or 5 bourbons. It generally goes down poorly with your wife, but I can see myself having 3 or 4 of these and really enjoying it. The smell is amazing. I love kind of the burnt, charcoaly, kind of smoky flavor and smell, both kind of mixed together. And the beer itself has a great, like they were saying, vanilla kind of just overall flavor. It's really delicious.
So, Mark, is the bourbon-ness of this beer hitting you in a good way?
I would say it definitely hits in a very good way. It's very pleasantly done. It's not overpowering. I couldn't necessarily sit there and drink a bourbon and, appreciate the abrasion of it and the heat and the warmness and the burning, and then sit here and have one of these and be like, oh, that's clearly, made with bourbon in it. You can definitely pick up the notes of the bourbon in this particular beer, but very tastefully done. It's not overpowering. It just, shows you that it's there. That's really all I'm getting.
What kind of rating do you give it?
For this kind of beer, for me, it's a solid 9.
That's pretty high. Joby, is your rating that high?
Not quite, James. I'm rating this an 8. Again, it's a great beer. It's amazing how they take the Kentucky Ale and turn it into this. It's almost kind of like a novelty beer that we were talking about earlier, but a novelty in a good way. This is one of those beers that you want to tell your friends about. If they've never heard of it or never had it, go try this one, because how many times do you come upon a beer that's been aged in a bourbon barrel for 6 weeks? So again, it's a terrific beer. I recommend it to anybody that can get their hands on it, and I rate it a solid 8.
Okay, Scott, where are you at?
My rating is an 8, and honestly, the only reason it's not a little bit higher is because I'm disappointed in, the size of the bottle.
The size of the bottle? You want it to be
it comes
bigger?
in oak barrels. Why the hell can't we get an oak barrel? They have mini kegs of other beers. Bring us a mini oak keg. I give it an 8.
An 8. All right. Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale gets a 8.3 rating on the BBA scale. Don't forget to watch our previous video about Kentucky Ale. Let us know what your favorite barrel-aged beer is in the comments section. Thanks for watching. I'm James Knott, and this is your Better Beer Authority.
Better beer authority, better beer authority.